So let's go to this first call. Yeah, here you go, Hugh. So you're a new subscriber, new CLP subscriber, first time submitter, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, Hugh. So where are you playing out of, sir?
TCH in Austin, Texas.
TCH in Austin, Texas. All right, so TCH 2.5 or what? 1.3?
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, I just kind of graduated from 1.2.
Well,
The bankroll.
if the games are anything like what they were when I left, 2.5 is like the biggest game in the city. It plays like a 10-20. Now they might have put caps and stuff, but 2.5 used to be like the gigantic game.
Yeah, there's a $1,500 buy-in cap.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit different. Yeah. All right. So 2.5, 1,500 cap. How deep are you, Hugh?
I'm at 1,100. I bought in for
Okay.
600 and ran it up.
So 1,100 effective. Okay. 2.5, 1,500 cap. Yep.
So yeah, this was my first shot at 2.5. I'd been grinding 1.2 and ran the bankroll up, so I could take a shot at 2.5. So under the gun plus 1 or 2, I can't remember if it was. I think it was plus 2, but he raises to 20. Everyone else folds. Button, who I think is a regular or slash a solid player. I'd only played with him for an hour, but I did recognize him, and a few people at the table I think knew him. I hadn't played many hands, but I had noticed he was right beside me. I had noticed he was getting a bit frustrated with the lack of hands he was getting. He 3-bets to 75. I'm in the small blind with ace king, ace of diamonds, king of hearts. Obviously, this is like a pretty standard 4-bet a lot of the time, but I was up a decent amount, and it actually was going to be my last hand of the night.
I have a couple of questions. So plus 2-ish to 20. Button 3-bets to 75. Now, we didn't hear what you did. You're in the small blind with ace king off.
I flatted.
I was going to say, you just gave the little bit of background. So it sounds to me like you might have flatted. Now, are you here on vacation or what?
I am on vacation / work / poker grind.
Oh, do you actually have a work visa?
I have a Canadian passport also, so I can travel too.
Well, I was just saying that, sometimes, I see Euros call you a Euro. Yeah, I'm Irish Euro. So you're not going to take offense like a British guy or English guy or something like that. So what I was going to say is there are guys that will come and grind for 6 months and that's what they're doing. They're coming.
That's basically what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah. But then there are other times there are guys that are actually here on vacation and just play too. I'm talking about of the European variety. So I was kind of trying to gauge that out. So, listen, over the long term, I know you're up. I actually did a whole, if you're new to the website, I did a whole mental game thing last week, actually. Last week, coming off of an hour and a half of PLO at Encore Boston Harbor, I was talking about how my approach to mental game is and how it's all one long session. And then I got sucked out on 3 big hands, and it almost made me happy because I could just see how much money there would be to be won with people getting it in so bad. But one of the other things I talked about too is it's just like one long session. I know that we're not robots, and it's a little bit different though if you're only playing once a week and you're like, well, I just want to leave. If you're playing a lot, that stuff shouldn't really come into effect. The fact that you're up or that it's the end of a session.
I think it was the psychology of the first time being at 2.5. I did find myself flatting a bit more than 4-betting or 3-betting. There definitely were some times where I did 3-bet on 4-bet semi-light. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I just got on the defensive. I was like, last hand of the night, he's a tight player, I think. Let's just flat. I'm out of position.
So it's just 2 blinds. And so you just flat. So plus 2 to 20, button 3-bets to 75, hero flats, ace king off. Now, obviously, what we always teach is don't flat 3-bets in position. Don't flat 3-bets cold. You 4-bet or fold. I guess you could set up a trap here. What if you called and then plus 2 4-bet? Were you going to just fold? That's the problem sometimes with cold 3-betting. So you can get away with cold calling 3-bets sometimes if you know that the guy from up front, and there's some characters from Hustler Casino Live I would do this against, will only 4-bet aces and kings. But if you have an aware player, it's just ripe to get sort of squeezed.
I think I was just I'm in the middle. The guy who raised first was also semi-tight. So I was yeah, I was just I think my psychology was I'm going home, let's just play a PG-13 and see how it goes, which like you said, that's not the way to be.
And by the way, too, just to move on to this, another thing that I talked about on that, there was a call that we had from my buddy at Encore Boston Harbor a couple weeks ago. He was talking about how he was going through a bad stretch. He wanted to reduce his volatility. And I talked about, this is a great example of that. If you take steps to play more conservative, that will inevitably lower your win rate, your volatility will actually increase. The larger your win rate is, the less swings you have. So if you start doing...
if it was 1-2, I would have easily 4-bet. I think it was because it was my first shot.
Okay. All right. So what does +2 do behind you?
He flats also.
All right. So he calls. So 225 three ways. Okay. Let's go to the flop here.
Yeah. So 9 of clubs, king of diamonds, and 2 of clubs.
So king of diamonds, 9 of clubs, deuce of clubs. So you flop top pair. King 9 deuce with a couple of clubs. This is going to be interesting here too. So, back in the day, I actually used to tweet about some tips, and I would say sometimes you can flat with ace king, and then if you hit an ace or a king, you can kind of play it like a set. I tend to not do that as much. It's more of a 3-bet, but this is interesting because your hand is a little bit under-repped, and it's obviously in a 3-bet pot. All right, so I assume you check.
Yeah, so I check. Under the gun, also check.
Okay.
Villain c-bets for 75.
All right, so the guy who is on the button, who's the 3-better, right? He bets 75.
Yep.
So kind of a small bet into 225. You got this guy behind you. You don't have a club here. It's kind of interesting because you're 1100 deep. Well, I'm saying only, but it's a 3-bet pot. So it's like 200. So you're over 200 big blinds effective. I mean, on paper, you'd say, okay, well, I'll just call, and then maybe the guy behind me will fold out. Maybe we'll get checked back through on the turn, and then I'll make a value bet at the end. What you're losing to here in terms of hands that are 3-bet in this particular spot might be aces, pocket kings, and pocket nines. Now, obviously, when you have ace king, you block aces and you block kings. He could have 9-9. I just think that sometimes you could actually play this a little bit on the fast side, and people would be like, well, isn't this like way ahead, way behind? I mean, if you're never going to fold out anyways, you could make it look like you have some sort of combo draw, and you could get it in with something that's worse than your hand, like another king X suited, something like that. Once in a while, you might even get the same hand to fold out. I assume you called. Is that right?
Yeah, I called, okay. And the under the gun +2 folded.
I mean, the other thing too is you got to look at sizing. I know it's multi-way. He's betting 1/3, but sometimes you can't just let people bet super small and then realize. But I know it's multi-way. So you call, fold, and then so +2 folds, and now we're at what 375. Okay, what's the turn?
Jack of diamonds.
All right, so the jack of diamonds comes off. So now it's king 9 deuce, couple clubs. Turn is the jack of diamonds, which puts a backdoor diamond draw out there. If we're right here, king of diamonds, 9 of clubs, deuce of clubs. Turns the jack of diamonds. You have ace.
Apologies, it was the jack of hearts.
Jack of hearts. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Jack of hearts. All right. So that's another hand that you don't. Well, a couple other hands that you don't beat. I don't know if he's always betting like jack 3 ways, but if you ever had king jack suited or queen, if you're always getting out a little bit out of line. Okay.
So then he goes for 275.
All right, so hero checks, right?
Yeah, sorry, I checked, and then he bets 275.
Well, at this point, I would say that now I'm probably not going. So if you just call, now the pot is going to be 550 plus 375 is what, like 925. You guys are going to have about 700 left, I would say. If you call, the pot's going to, yeah. So it's interesting because of it's kind of interesting because of the stack to pot ratio, because you're going to have about 3/4 of a pot size bet left here. Again, like on paper here, you probably just call. I do wonder if you could ever just go with it and then you don't allow him to realize whatever draw because if you're going to call off anyways, you might here's a couple of things that could happen. If you're going to call off anyways, you don't allow him to get a free card off of realizing whatever he has. Like if he had like ace 10 of clubs or something like that. Because like if I'm betting like ace queen of clubs, ace 10 of clubs as the preflop 3-better, and you've called twice next to act, I'm not probably going to bluff the river if I miss as the preflop 3-better. So there's that. And then you might actually get the same hand sometimes to fold if you check jam for 700 and it's like 1600, 700 to call. So I actually think it's pretty close here if I'm doing the math. Like I could see just going with it right now. It's pretty close. I don't know if you considered that or what.
I was actually more worried that maybe he had turned a set with jacks. That the first one he was just trying to get people off. And then, yeah, I suppose I was like, maybe he's on ace king, same hand. maybe turn the set with jacks. Maybe he's trying to bluff off with queens. Yeah, that's kind of where I was at on the turn.
Well, any type of hand that's Broadway that's not paired here is probably going to barrel turn. And what I mean by that is going to be like ace queen, ace 10. Although he did kind of size small, but I was going to say like your next to act call is pretty strong. That's why I just think that like I could see jamming here. So you call again. So hero calls, and now we're at 550, so it's 925, and you have put in 275, 350, 425. So again, you've got like 675 to 700 left, right? That's what I'm saying. It's interesting stack size. All right, king of diamonds, nine of clubs, deuce of clubs turns to jack of hearts. Okay.
Yeah, so then the river is the nine of spades.
So the river is the nine of spades, which is really not consequential, and the only thing that it means is he just got less of a set of nines, right? Goes from
it pairs the board, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
I mean, when you're taking a look at like what those a three betting range is, like I was saying, like you were behind nines, right? Well, now 66% of the nines are just like not available anymore. So yeah, I mean, other than that, so it's not the worst. I mean, it's probably a decent card, to be honest.
So yeah, I check, and he jams all in.
So hero checks and button all in. As some people in the chat were to say, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to sort of put myself in a given situation because I don't think that I would have played the hand this way. I mean, we talked about why we wouldn't necessarily play the hand this way, but you do get into some interesting scenarios here where if you did arrive here, so he moves all in for 675, so the pot is like 1,600, 675 for you to call. Now, people might be like, oh, you're so under-repped, but I actually don't think that that's actually relevant here because I don't think your opponent is going to take take king, queen of hearts here for this line. The only time this would ever be relevant is if he were to bet all in here with king, queen. I just don't think that's really the case here, that's ever going to be. So if I had ace king and I was your opponent and you took this line, would I move all in?
Sorry, just one thing that was going to my mind was, one, I have the ace, maybe blocking aces to a certain degree. Same with the king. And also maybe he was putting me on some kind of flush draw and trying to either value bet me on the river, or not value bet me, or try to get me off a flush draw on the river. That's what it was kind of going through my head, because he probably did not put me on ace king based on my flat, right?
Probably not. No, probably not. But you did call next to act on the flop, and you also called next to act you called a pretty big bet on the turn. Even though he doesn't think that you have ace king, like I said, I'm trying to put myself as your opponent. I would probably not bluff here if I'm your opponent, because I think you're going to have like 9-9 or jack-jack. Now, obviously, there's less 9-9s here, because usually when people cold call like in the small blind, it's kind of a very, very sort of set, defined type of range. If I'm the one with ace 10 of clubs or ace like queen of clubs and you call off on turn, I'm trying to get you off of like 10s or maybe queens or something like that on turn, and you continue to call. If I don't make it, I'm probably not going to bluff. That's why it's a little bit, now, obviously I'm not every player. That's why it's a little bit concerning for me. And I kind of feel like here you might be in a situation where at best you're chopping. And I don't even know if this guy is necessarily betting ace king here. Now, some people say, well, you have to call. I don't think anybody's going to necessarily get on you here for calling, but I don't like it.
I think honestly, when he made it, I was like, in my gut, I was like, I think at best he has, like, best case for me, I was like, he probably has ace king at best.
Well, and then what's the math on that then? If he's got ace king and he's moving in for 6, I don't know. Well, you play double board, right? You had to play double board, right? So you should know this, or you should at least learn it, right? So the pot's 925 and he's betting 6. So let's say the pot's 900 just to make it even. And he's betting 675. So you're calling 675 to win how much at best?
1,800?
No. So the pot, let's call the pot 900, right? So if you call and chop, right? Let's say that he has ace
Oh
king.
yeah, 600 minus 900. Yeah.
Well, so you're calling 675 to win how much? If the pot's 900 on the turn,
Like 225.
well, half of 900,
Yeah. Okay.
so
Gotcha.
450. So you're calling 675 to win 450 if you were chopping, which means that you're actually laying a price. We don't know that, but and the reason why I bring that up with double board is because we see in split pot games, you see these chopping things all the time. What did you end up doing?
Oh yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Just for reference, I don't play bomb pots. They're too wild for me.
Oh, you sit them out. Oh man.
Yeah, I
Wow,
sit them
you
out, yeah.
don't be one of those Euros. Come on.
So I ended up tanking for quite a while, and I did end up calling, and he turned over a full house of kings.
King's full.
Yeah, the king's full.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you might have been destined to go broke here. I mean, maybe if you 4-bet pre, so if it goes 20 to 75 and you go to like 200 and he jams or something, maybe you fold ace king off. But it's pretty hard. It's a hard one to get involved with here when you flop top pair and the guy's got top set.
Suppose I just put him maybe on a flush draw. Maybe he was spewing, trying to get me off a hand. But then, when he did show it, it was very obvious. At the end, he's like solid player, bet 3 streets, pretty consistent,
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, Hugh. I appreciate it.